Welcome back everyone. Today is a big one. You requested a Sorc build and it's done. You finally have it. This is going to get one of two reactions. It's going to get people not even watching it properly and complaining, and then it's going to get the other type of people that were not aware that this sort of thing could be done. It's really simple to use. Anyone who is experienced or inexperienced can get this working without much effort. Generally the current meta is quite harsh on your sustain, quite harsh on your personal health sustain as well, because you don't heal and you shield and all the rest of it, although you should be. You're pretty much a glass cannon. Although that setup is very powerful in the right hands, it is a little advanced, and also sometimes a bit of a liability if your group isn't capable of keeping you up. This one takes full advantage of the actual damage based passives from a Sorc. Also, your sustain is not a problem ever. You will not run out of magic, and your health sustain as far as your healing and your shielding is concerned is also very good as well. Now generally with the what I call the glass cannon setup, again it is very strong, not doubting that, but you do not have crit surge, so your crits don't heal you because you don't have it on. You use a potion, which becomes expensive, and you don't have a shield because you can't fit either of those two buffs. Some people use overload on the back bar and switch to a shield on there. By the time you press that overload, you're probably already dead, so what's the point in having that bar? We don't use overload. The gear setup is a little difficult to get in some cases. There's two different versions of this. There's one with a lot of farming involved, and there's another one with a little bit of luck involved. Both of which do require the maelstrom. So the good thing is you can actually build this setup without the maelstrom staff and get reasonable results until you get the weapons you want. Now, I'm going to first of all go over the skills, and then I'll go over the gear, because they're both just as important as each other. If we look at... Actually, let's look at the stats first of all. Let's buff up. We're sitting on 42k and 42.5k Magicka, which is a lot. Recovery is 884. Max health 18.5 almost, and spell damage 2.6 with 65% crit. That looks like it's really bad, but it's actually not, and I'll show you why. Also, you'll see this in the gear as well. We are actually using two Stones, Thief and Shadow. We're also a vampire, and Bound Aegis is our own buff, but we'll get to that. Crit Surge or Power Surge? Power Surge, what am I talking about? Let's get the skills. Inner Light, which is a major skilled skill. Slotted, you get 5% max magic, which contributes towards your damage and your pull, and it gives you major prophecy, increasing your crit, which we need to keep this on all the time. You don't need to turn it on, just have it on your bar. Beast Trap, this is if you're up close. You can switch this out for Boundless Storms if you would like, for the resists and for the lightning procs, but if you're at close range, which a lot of the time you are in trials and dungeons and maelstrom and all that kind of stuff, this is really powerful because it increases all of your crit damage by a further 12%, which is, I will come to later, but it will contribute to your stack up of damage on the way this build is set up. However, that one's situational. Most of the time you have that on, there's going to be ads running in your face. You can just use one of them to pop a beast trap, but if you're up in the boss's face as well, this is very important. Hardened Ward, obviously it's a oh shit button. If you need to shield, don't not do it. It's what it's there for, and it fits on the bar. It doesn't affect your damage at all. In fact, it does increase your damage, but we'll get to the passives for that in a moment. Bound Aegis gives you a small amount of resists and also increases your max magic by 8%, which is huge, and that stacks alongside this one, which gives you the 5. Then we have Mage's Wrath, which is our execute. You can fire it off on an enemy before they hit 20%, as long as they're going to hit that amount within 4 seconds, and then it will pop. Failing that, you can spam it to an extent when they get to low health. And it spreads as well. It's got a shock damage, splash damage. Another one that's very important to the build as well, but of course we'll get to passives in a moment. Meteor, this is purely for the major skills passives, which we're also getting to. You don't need to use this skill. It is just on the bar for stats, which I will explain. Now, if we get to the back bar, Inner Light again, we double bar it for crit on both bars, for max magic on both bars. Don't need to press it, just keep it on the bar. Blockade of Storms. This is Wall of Elements morphed into Elemental Blockade. This is the bread and butter of the whole build. You must have this down. If you don't, your damage is going to suck. So you need it. Bound Aegis, again, you double bar it. I've put it in a different slot just because that's the way I play, but you need it on both bars, because otherwise if you don't, it will fall off. You need to make sure you have it on both bars. So double bar this, double bar this. Power Surge, I called it Crit Surge a minute ago, that's the wrong morph, but this gives you Major Sorcery, also Major Brutality, which you don't actually need, but it doesn't matter, it gives you both. And you heal once a second for every crit that you do. So once a second, so long as you crit, you will heal. This is very, very powerful, especially in stack-ups and stuff like that, or situations where maybe a healer's down, or you just need more heals. It's just stupid, it's really powerful. As long as you're doing damage, you're healing the whole time. Liquid Lightning. This also is a very, very powerful dot alongside this, and needs to be kept up for the damage and for the lightning passives, which I'll come in. Thunderous Rage. This is the Destruction Staff ultimate, morphed for Elemental Rage, not Storm, because Storm is for PvP, where it sticks to you while you run around and zag everything. This one is placed, so you target where you want to put it. We fire it on the back bar, but we switch to our front. But we'll get to these now. The passives, very important ones. Suppression Field, I do have that for Maelstrom, but we'll come to that later on when I speak about Maelstrom. Reduces the Magicka and stamina cost of all abilities, we need that. That's for Maelstrom. Increases, that's for Maelstrom as well, and so is that. So the main one you want for this one, above all, is this. Reduces the cost. Daedric Summoner, this isn't important as such because, well, passive wise, because it's for pets, but this increases your recovery, stamina recovery in fact, when you have an ability slotted, which is nice because you will be blocking and stuff like that in Trials, Dungeons, etc, so it's nice to get that back. And also reduces the cost of your ultimate, which is incredible. That's really, really important because you want to be firing off that ultimate as much as possible. These two skills here are about pets. You don't need them unless you use pets later on. Hardened Ward, there's your slotted Daedric Summoning ability. Bound Aegis, there it is again. So, while you've got any of these slotted on your bar, you'll get this passive here, which is nice. It's not essential, but it does help. Passives in here, then these are the big ones. Now, increases your Magicka recovery, very nice. Increases your physical and shock damage. Yes, shock damage, 5% increased shock damage. I don't need to tell you why we're using lightning now, do I? This one, whenever you deal shock damage, you have a 6% chance to instantly disintegrate enemies under 15% health, dealing 12,107 shock damage. This is unbuffed. Whenever you deal physical, it does the same, but we're not doing physical. That is really, really, really powerful. That actually procs off of just about everything we're about to do, which I will go to. Increases spell damage and weapon damage by 2% for each sorcery ability slotted. So, this is lightning. This can proc the execute. We'll call this execute. Where is it? Storm calling. We will call implosion execute proc, if you like. So, this can proc it. The first hit and the splash damage can both, if you're lucky, get that. Also, Wall of Elements, or Blockade of Storms, whichever you want to call it, that can also proc it. Liquid Lightning, that can also proc it. This can also proc it. It's not limited to a cooldown or a certain amount. Every single one of these, including, we'll get to the staff, the lightning staff, ticks on that, can all proc that execute. So if you have them all running, so you have the dot running, the ultimate running, and you're doing heavy attacks with your lightning staff, which is what this is all about, you can execute your ass off if you get lucky with the percentage proc chances, which you will do. Now, other skills, passives even. Vampire, this is quite an important one actually. Reduces the damage you take under 50% health. Really, really nice. Recovery, this actually is not hugely essential, but it does help. Helps your stamina back, helps your Magicka back, all that kind of stuff. That was not important. Fighter's Guild, there is a couple you need here. Rearming Trap, of course, for the crit bonus. It fires off once, 6 seconds later it fires off again. It's basically 12 seconds worth of minor force also, so it's quite nice. Intimidating Presence, this one you use purely to reduce the cost of Beast Trap, because you don't have a lot of stamina, you don't want to, it doesn't want to cost loads, so use this. Grants 9 extra ultimate when killing undead, danger, and werewolves. So any skeletons you kill, any scamps, anything like that, all give you 9 ultimate, which is really nice. And that one's not relevant. Mage's Guild, big one. This can actually be morphed, but I don't need to morph it because I'm not using it. Here, reduces the Magicka and health cost of Mage's Guild's ability. This is purely if you're really in PvP or something like that, if you want to buy this to break someone's stealth, or if you want to use it for empower, but we don't really use it, I've just bought it anyway. Increases the duration of Mage's Guild. That's if you fire off your Ice Comet, it lasts longer, which you probably won't, but some situations you may be like 1% health and that's all you've got to fire off, so you'll use it. Increases, this is the big one, increases the max Magicka and maximum recovery by 2% for each skill slotted. Now that is this one. 2% max magic and recovery, 2% max magic and recovery. So this and this is 4%. This on its own is 5%, and this is 8%. So our max magic is huge. That's why we're on 42.5k. So this is very important. Mage's Guild does increase your damage quite a lot by that 4% increase. Also another one that does contribute to the increase damage and pull and all the rest of it is this here, Undaunted Metal, level 9. You have to max this out. And it increases your overall stats, health, stamina, magicka by 2% per type of armor, which is why you'll see when I get to the gear we're wearing 3 different types, which is why I'm receiving a 6% bonus to all 3 stats. So there's the passives. You will need this, by the way, because your magicka is way too high. You are never going to run out, and if you go up against a serpent and you get magicka bomb, you're going to need to spam this a bit. High elf skills, obviously these you will have, you get all your passives, but again, magic recovery, max magic 10% as well, which stacks with all those skills up there, and increases your damage to flame, frost, and shock damage. So your shock damage is 4% here, and 5% in storm calling. We have 9% extra shock damage. Just like a Dragon Knight gets extra flame damage, we get extra shock damage for being a high elf sorcerer. So there's the reasoning for the lightning to start with, but let's get to the gear and then I will show you exactly how the build works, which is really easy. The gear is in this order. There's 2 builds for this. I'll show you the expensive one and then I'll show you the not so expensive one. First of all, we have 5 ether, starting with a sharpened lightning staff. That is very important. You need a sharpened one if you can get it. You can use other traits, but they will be significantly lower in damage. So you get here, which is spell crit. Nice, we need that. Gain minor slayer at all times, increasing your damage done in dungeons and trials, which includes Maelstrom trials, all normal and vet dungeons, all of that. They all stack up, increased damage there. 129 spell damage. Fully charged heavy attacks deal an additional 903 damage. Now on a flame staff, that's pretty crap, because you have to wind up a massive heavy attack, which takes like 2-3 seconds, and then you just get an initial 1k, maybe 2k if you crit. This affects the lightning staff per tick, so while it's ticking over per second, it increases the damage, and also grants minor vulnerability, which increases the damage you do to them by 8%, which also stacks with this as well. Now I know in the patch coming up that they're supposed to make lightning affect enemies with minor vulnerability, so that specific trait will possibly be useless, maybe not, depending on the uptime, but the 5th piece bonus for this full stop, if you ignore the minor vulnerability, still gives you the heavy attack damage and it still gives you the spell crit, so you're still going to be doing the same damage for having that 5-piece bonus, so it's not affected. So we'll do the staff. This is a sharpened staff on your front bar. We'll get to the back one in a minute. Then you have 1 Divine's Keen. It doesn't matter if it's a shoulder or a helmet, just make sure that your armor is 5-1-1. By that I mean 1 medium, 1 heavy, 5 light for all your passives. Now, twice born, obviously, heavy chest, light shoulders, light belt, light hands, medium legs, and light feet. This is for resist purposes, the heavy chest and the medium legs, just to get the most out of those. And the jewelry is all infallible ether also. So 3 ether on the jewelry, 1 on the feet, 1 on the weapon, 5 twice one on the body, and 1 kenna. On the back weapon, this is very important. Maelstrom lightning staff. Don't worry about the trait. Yes, as you can see, I've got a really shit trait. If you can get sharpened, awesome. If not, doesn't matter, because you're going to be on your back bar for a very short period of time, and it is literally just to buff or to put your Wall of Elements and Liquid Lightning down. Then you'll switch back again. This enchant here, if you're not already aware of it, as most people are, will give you extra damage to your light and heavy attacks while the enemy is inside your Wall of Elements. So your light and heavy attacks are increased here. Your light and heavy attacks are increased here with the 5th trait. Your damage is increased by minus sorcery. Your damage is increased by minus savagery in this here. So everything is stacking at the moment. As long as you've got Wall of Elements down, you're getting the most out of your heavy attacks. And the rest of your damage as well, obviously. But your heavy attacks are really, really powerful. Also, if you look into Destruction Staff skills, which is here, this is a really important one. You get magic back when you kill stuff with a Destro Staff. Brilliant. Reduces the time it takes for a heavy attack. Increases the chance of inflicting status, which is very, very important. We're going to get to that when we hit CPs in a moment. And also, penetration, nice. Shock damage. Nearby enemies are damaged for 130% of the damage done. So the harder you hit that target that you're aiming at, the harder the enemies around it will be hit. Which means Ether making our heavy attack stronger, our Wall of Elements on the back bar making our heavy attack stronger, means that in area of effect, everything is getting hit harder. Now, we can further improve that damage. Really? We can further improve that damage, not just by the Beast Trap, not just by War Horns and all the rest of it, but by our CPs. And these are very, very important. What the hell? Go away. Let's look at the CPs without enemies attacking us. Hide. Okay. Champion points. We'll do the red tree first, because that's the boring one. Split your resists. 70/70 is just fine. So when your shield is down, your resists are good. Dot resistance, you need that. It's really, really good to resist the extra damage from the Death Over Time abilities. And in here, I use Quick Recovery for the 4% healing received, which is a valid trait on most tank armor, so there's no harm in you having it. You are healing most of the time, because if you crit, you heal. So just, it adds to your survivability. Plus you can have this passive here, which I do encourage everybody to use, which is while you're resurrecting a player, you take 15% less damage. So you're tankier while you're rezzing people in a jam, so that's helpful. Bastion, just to increase the shield. You really don't need it, but if you want to, you can put it here. Failing that, just split it between these again and give yourself some more resists. Green tree, this is really easy. Reduction to cost, loads into recovery, and then tenacity, because we're going to be using heavy attacks a lot. In fact, that's our main rotation, but you'll see. Rubbish, don't need it. Now this one is very, very important. It is set up specifically to work this way. You can switch these around, but it doesn't really matter. You can have 11 in there, 26 in there, or 26 in there, 11 in there. At the end of the day, if you crit, this one's going to be more useful. If you don't crit, this one's going to be more useful. So they're a decent balance now. This is really important. 75 in there. Any more than that is, yes, it's going to improve your damage, but you're going to waste these points where these could be more useful. Now, this one you don't use anything. Yeah, I know we're using a staff, and people think that you should use Staff Expert if you're using staff. Don't worry about it. It's not strong enough. This is the bonus. Wall of Elements is a death over time. Liquid Lightning is a death over time. Our heavy attack is a death over time. Our ultimate is a death over time. Everything we do is a dot. So put 75 in here, no more, no less, and you can take full advantage of my favourite trait, which is this one. Increases the damage against off-balance targets by 10%. That looks like it's really rubbish, because it's only own percent. But when you add the heavy attack damage from this, the bonus, the heavy attack and light attack damage from this, then you concuss the enemy with Wall of Elements, and then you double proc it and get off balance. Everything you're now doing, even if you have a Beast Trap down as well, everything you're doing is increased by 10% on a stack up system. However, it's a lot stronger than 10%. I don't know if we can off balance this thing. There we go, straight away. 16k. Let's get a beast trap down and hit something without killing it if we can. Shit, wrong button. Pop. 8 is okay. Beast trap. Wall of elements. Off balance. A lot of damage. Now obviously they are very, very fast kills, and you need to really see that over time, but on bosses as well, bosses can go off balance. Any targets in an AoE situation can go off balance individually, so multiple at a time, and that damage that you do on the target that is off balance is spread because of your AoE passive in the destruction staff tree. Off balance does hit a scroll. Off balance does proc quite a lot. We were using these yesterday with 3 Sorks, 1 Templar, all using the lightning staff, and the off balance was crazy. For some reason 10 or 11k turns into 16, 18k when you're on your own. When you go into a trial situation, you have beast traps, wall of elements, then warhorn, spell power cure, all that kind of stuff all run at the same time. You can hit 22k a tick and more, and then that spreads to AoE as well, which is freaking huge. Now obviously that contributes to these 2 dots that are running as well, and you just kill everything. It's crazy. One more thing I did forget to mention, the enchant on this staff is deliberately weapon and spell damage increase, because we want to do more damage. We can't put it on a maelstrom weapon. I mean, you can, I have tried it, but it's a bit buggy. Where's a maelstrom staff? Just to show that I messed with it. There you go. I put it on a maelstrom staff before to show that it works, but it doesn't always proc. For some reason it bugs out. The spell damage does carry over, but the proc doesn't always fire, so that's why we're using ether staff. Now, the alternative setup is basically exactly the same as it is now, but instead of the Kenner and the ether staff, you just have 2 maelstrom staves, whatever. You have 2 of them, and then you just go 5 ether, 5 twice spawn. Very, very simple setup, but it does require having 2 lightning weapons from the maelstrom to do it. And that's very, very simple. You can even shift wall of elements to your front bar and just keep up your rotation that way. But this is our rotation, and this is going to sound stupid, but this is what you do. Liquid lightning lasts 10 seconds, put that one down first. Wall of elements lasts 8 seconds, put that one down second. So liquid lightning, light attack, wall of elements, switch. Watch the light attack, sometimes it gets jammed, so if you want to leave that one out, leave it out. So you can cancel that, switch that. Liquid lightning, oops, liquid lightning, block, wall of elements, swap. Both dots are down. These are your big ones. If you don't have wall of elements down, your damage is going to be shit. So put those 2 down first. On your front bar, you heavy attack 3 times. Beast trap, swap, start again. 3 attacks. Beast trap, swap, start again. And that's it. So 2 dots, 3 attacks, beast trap, start again. Very, 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 very simple. When it comes to ultimate, make sure your 2 dots are down first, and then throw your ultimate before you switch, and just carry on heavy attacking inside of it. And make sure these don't fall off, because you will notice your damage. Now, when it comes to execute phase, you do exactly the same. Dot, dot, switch, do a brief heavy attack just to proc the ether, and then fire off, say 4 or 5 executes, and then start again. Keep that rotation up, because you want this lightning damage in there. You want to make sure that these all proc implosion. You want to make sure this happens. This can proc implosion, this can proc implosion. This can, your ulti can, and your mage's wrath can. Technically, if you were to be very, very lucky, you could proc 6 executes with your execute involved in your rotation, just by putting those dots down. I need something with more health, so we'll just go into Banished Cells real quick. We'll go normal because it's quick to demonstrate, but that might be too low. Okay, for those of you that are still with me, make sure your buffs are on. This lasts, what, 33 seconds, something like that. 33 seconds, okay? Major sorcery, heal off your crits. Just remember every 3rd rotation to put it back on again. Dot, dot, heavy attack. Goodbye. Now, Beast Trap contributes a lot to your stack up damage, so does the Thief and Shadow, and my food ran out, so that was stupid. Keep an eye on my max magic. In fact, we'll just burn some here, just a little bit. Heavy attacks give you magic back. Our main damage is a heavy attack, off balance, good night. Not even a struggle. Now, they can hit me, but I'm healing when I hit every 1 second, because this is guaranteed a crit from these 3 dots. That and the heavy. There's going to be a crit no matter what. So you will heal. And if you get in the shit, put a shield on. Okay. Now, again, dot, switch, hold heavy attack. Shield if you have to, hold heavy attack again. We'll go to the boss in a second. He's only a small one, but we'll get to him anyway. Above all, Wall of Elements has to be down, no matter which order you do them in. Obviously the optimal order is to put Liquid Lightning down first, but as long as your Wall of Elements is down, you will consistently do high damage. And I just turned my buff off, that was silly. And that's we're out of Beast Trap even being on. We will use Beast Trap in a rotation at the moment. Generally when you run up to a fight, you put it down straight away, and then you just go from there. In fact, we'll do that here. Enter the fight with a shield to make sure we don't get wrecked straight away. Beast Trap. Dot, execute. See those ticks? Beast Trap, switch, dot. I think I missed my Wall of Elements. I did. There you go. There's the damage drop off. Okay, as you can see, the off balance is really high damage. In a group situation, you can generally hit an average of about 18 to 19 if you knock them off balance, because obviously the tank is going to be reducing their resists, and someone will be using Animate and Drain if not to reduce the resist, but your sustain is not going to suffer at all. So obviously, as you can see, the damage is very high once you stack Beast Trap, Wall of Elements and a heavy attack. The trial buffs you'll receive and the tank debuffing the boss and all that kind of thing will make you not just do 16k damage on your heavies, it will go a lot higher than that, to the point where you will hit high, mid-20s, maybe even higher, and it's all area effect damage as well, so it's not just a single target damage, it's area of effect as well, which is what everybody wants in trials right now. They want as much area effect damage as possible, and this is huge, especially alongside the Destro ulti, which is overpowered as hell. Beast Trap, dot, ultimate, heavy attack. As soon as that off balance kicks in, you'll know about it. It's a lot easier when there's a couple of you doing it, but off balance is still very common. There he goes, 18.35. 3 heavies, Beast Trap, switch, dot, switch, off balance, carry on. Now off balance is obviously very important. I think you need to rebuff. But doesn't matter, in a trial if you have to rebuff for half a second, don't worry about it, doesn't matter. Every third rotation is not going to kill you. In fact, it'll keep you alive. And the last rotation is going to be Beast Trap, switch, dot, proc ether, heavy execute. 31k execute out of that then. And this is solo, this is without, I mean, I know they've got lower resists, but this is without tanks debuffing, this is without Alkosh running, this is without spell power cure, this is without a Warhorn, all those shiny things you'll get in a trial. This is just solo. So if you can put that into perspective and imagine how powerful it is inside of a trial, you can see where this is going. Hopefully people are still with me on this and can see what potential it has. Now this does work in Maelstrom, Trials, Dungeons, everything like that, like I've already said. The rotation's ridiculously easy. There's none of this wait for procs, wait for crystal shards, put this down, put that down. It's just dot, heavy attack 3 times, Beast Trap, dot, heavy attack 3 times. Just make sure this Wall of Elements is down all the time. If your damage dips, considerably, you are doing something wrong. Either this isn't on, this isn't on, or this isn't on. They need to be on. Beast Trap, very important, but not 100% essential. Do that in close quarters. If you can't reach, don't worry. But it will increase your damage a lot. While your ultimate is down also, this and this together, they proc off balance together like hell, especially in an AoE situation. They're very, very, very strong, and the more sorks you have like this, the more off balance happens and the more damage you do consistently. As far as DPS is concerned, in terms of speed, efficiency, time, all that kind of stuff, which I know a lot of people are looking into, Jack in our trial guild, who I've already noted that I'll put a link in the description for his DPS test and his Maelstrom kill actually on one of the Flame boss, I think. He got 52 without the Ether Staff and Kenner. He was just using 5 Twice Born, 5 Ether, and 2 Maelstrom weapons. Now with the Ether Staff and the Kenner helmet, you will get more than that. But he got 52 seconds, and that is pretty much standard for very high DPS with the general glass cannon build, which is very good. But this has increased sustain and survivability because everything fits. Now I've heard people say that the shield doesn't give you extra damage. Yeah, it does. Where are we? It's got to be in Stormcalling. Increases spell damage and weapon damage by 2% for each sorcerer ability slotted. Gives you 2%. Just for having it on, you get extra damage. And if it's a very, very ranged fight and you can't reach with a beast trap, you're never going to get it in there. There's not ads flying in your face and all the rest of it. You're never going to get it down. Switch this for Boundless Storms for 2 reasons. One is for the resist if you need it, and 2 is for the extra spell damage for putting it on your bar. Also, if you do get close at last minute, this can execute as well per tick, so it's very, very nice. Okay, so I don't think there's much to recap on. You don't need medicinal use for this, strictly because you're not using spell pots that require you to use their full time. You won't run out of magic, and if you do, you can pop a potion, just a normal magic pot, just to confirm that, so you don't see me popping potions that I can't use. Where have they gone? Consumables. Normal magic pots. Rubbish ones. In fact, you can use health pots if you wanted, or stam pots to keep your stamina up while you're blocking for ages. Stupid stuff. Health and magic food. Very, very cheap setup in terms of consumables. Very simple in terms of skills and rotation. Okay, before you damn it, try it out. I'm sure most of you have got Ether anyway already, because you've been farming it like hell for the last few months, and if you haven't, keep going, it is worth it. I will once again, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't done already. That button will come up in a second. I will be posting some more build videos very soon, but in the meantime, enjoy. Any questions, any comments, anything like that, just leave it below. I will try and answer everyone if I can. Obviously it's difficult to keep up to everyone, but I will at least try. So once again, thank you for watching, and bye bye.